Remember how in the first class I was saying different Android models actually display some of the settings a little bit differently. Yours is
Okay.
actually one of the versions where instead of saying display and brightness, it just says display. But it'll have a lot of the same settings. So
Okay.
with regards to this eye comfort one, on a side
Ryan,
note there, eye comfort actually is, yeah,
Ryan. Sorry to interrupt.
okay.
It's Elaine. I don't have the latest version of Android in
Oh,
my on my phone, but I was trying to help Alina. When you say display, there is something called blue light filter on our older models. Maybe she can find that one.
right. So,
Yeah.
so on Huawei
Okay.
phones, you're going to see an option called Eye Comfort, but on other models that aren't Huawei, you're going to see one called Blue Light Filter. And what I was saying before is that Blue Light Filter and also Eye Comfort, so same sort of thing there. It's actually going to make your phone a little bit more yellow, a little bit less blue. So it'll put out less blue light. The reason why this can sometimes be good is if you're using your phone for a long time, blue light tends to bother our eyes a little bit more, and also at nighttime it can help wake our brains up. But that's not so great when we want to go to sleep. So oftentimes people will have that blue light filter turned on just to make it a little bit less strenuous on our eyes there. Again, it comes down to personal preference. I have for my phone, I use an iPhone for kind of my main phone there, but Android has a similar feature where you can actually turn on that blue light filter or like a night mode at a certain time of day, so that it turns on later at night. But in the daytime, it'll just look regular and it'll have most of the blue light there. Does that help answer your question about eye comfort and blue light and kind of how that works? Good to go. Awesome. So
Thank you.
no problem. Next one I want to talk about is one called dark mode. So dark mode is something that is becoming more and more prevalent with different phones and different apps. Not all apps have this yet, but little by little, a lot of the developers are starting to add in dark mode features. All that dark mode is really where it makes the screen dark and the text light, whereas usually the screen is bright and the text is dark. So here on the screen you can see two different versions of what that looks like. So on the left here, this is what the screen looks like with dark mode turned on. On the right side, this is the screen with the dark mode turned off. So again, personal preference for this one. I usually like dark mode at night, and I usually like to have it bright and kind of white and very in your face during the daytime. Just because it makes it a little bit easier to see when you're out in kind of bright environments there. Dark mode I like because at night because I usually don't like to have extra light pouring into my eyes just before bedtime. It's already bad enough that I use my phone just before going to sleep. I try to reduce the amount of strain that I put on my eyes as much as possible. Any additional questions about this part, guys? Nope, we're okay. All right. So next, I'm going to cover off on another setting called sound. So again, seems pretty straightforward, but this is talking about how we can adjust the volume on your phone. So on your Android phones there, typically on the left side, the top left-hand side of the phone, there is going to be what's called a rocker switch. Those are like just a little volume button on the side of your phone there that you can use to turn the phone up or down. Now, usually when you're pressing the rocker button for volume up or down, it's changing what's called media. So there's different things on your phone that actually have different volume levels. So media would be one of them. Ringtones would be another. Notifications would be another, and system sounds would be another. So media, what that is essentially like if you're in an app and that app is playing sound. So a good example of that would be like YouTube. So if you're in YouTube and you're listening to a video and you want that to be louder, you can actually usually use the rocker button on the side of the phone to turn up the volume on that. That would be something that falls under the media category. Ringtone would be like if somebody calls you. So if you're getting a call from one of your friends, whatnot, ringtone would be the volume for that one. Notifications, that would be like if you get say a text message, something that pops up in your phone. Usually there'll be a little bing or a little ding or some sort of sound that will play on your phone when that happens. So you can specifically turn up or down the volume on that one. system settings would be, or system sounds would be things like the lock noise, maybe keyboard click, those types of things there. So usually when you click on the rocker button on the left-hand side, a little slider will appear on the top of your Android phone. Now that slider you can use to adjust using your finger, but typically what will pop up is just the media option. If you want to see more of them, so the media, the ringtone, the notification in the system, while that little panel is up at the top here, there'll usually be a little way that you can actually drag. Oh, no worries. All good.
I love it.
So usually when you click the little rocker button, only the media one will pop up on the top of your phone. But if you drag down with your finger, then you can get the volume controls for everything else there. So why don't you try that right now? So try to pull up the volume. So use the little rocker buttons on the side of your phone to pull up the volume slider. And then with your finger, drag down the middle of that to open up the additional volume options. So let me know if you guys have been able to do that.
Yes.
Works well? Okay.
Yep.
Has everybody else been able to do that?
I'm sorry, I just came in late. Are we going into the setting and the sound?
So right now, you don't need to be in the settings menu for this particular option.
Oh.
So on your home screen, so just the main screen here, on the left side of your phone, there should be little buttons to control your volume. So it doesn't matter which one you press. If you press up or down, then at the top of your phone will be a little slider that will control the volume for media. If you put your finger on the middle of that and drag down, it will actually open up options to control the volume for the rest of the settings as well.
I'm not able to do that, Ryan. I don't know where we should be.
No problem. That's okay, because on the next one, I'm going to show you guys another way to actually control the volume for each of the little ones there. And then, Elaine, we can come back to that one afterwards to see if we can figure it out together.
Okay.
So another one that is important to know is how to mute your phone and how to turn it to vibrate. So I am actually the type of person that doesn't like ringtones at all. I really find when phones go off quite annoying, at least for my own phone. With other people's phones, I don't really care too much, but with my own phone, I usually like it to be fairly quiet. So with mine, I'll typically turn mine to vibrate. Now, how you can do that on your Android phone is on that little slider part here where you have all the different
你 OK， 你刚刚已经进去了那个苹果的那边了。可能你的手机有一些问题，但是你先等一下。
I think somebody's
那
talking.
你能进得去吗？
Just give her a minute.
你能进得去吗？我已经分配了，我不能再分配了。就是我分配了之后呢，要靠你进去那个房间。你有没有看到下面有很多个正方形？你看我的画面 ，OK？
正方形点哪一个？
这个。
点这个。
你有看到吗？
我这上面没有这个图像，没有这个图像。没有这个图像，老师。
看一下。
没有这个图像。
现在啊。
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm just gonna stop sharing for 2 seconds. I'm just gonna see. Okay. So speaking of muting, so if you actually drag your slider down to the bottom left-hand corner, you can actually turn it to vibrate. So there'll be 2 little icons that you'll be able to see. Now, vibrate typically will look like either this icon here, Or it'll look like it's a little bit small on the screen, but it'll look like this icon here. So it looks like a little micro or speaker with a cross through it, but then a little zigzag line to the right of it. So that shows you that it's muted, or sorry, it's on vibrate. Now, if you keep dragging to the left, you can actually mute it completely. So muting versus vibrating is vibrating won't play a noise when you get a call or when something happens. But what will happen is your phone will shake, and some people prefer that, including myself, because it's a little bit less obtrusive. Mute will completely turn off any indication that something is happening there. So again, you won't get any vibration, and there won't be any ringtone on that. So any questions on that part?
How do you get here with iPhone? Or am I in the wrong group?
This one's Android.
Oh, I should be switched to iPhone.
Oh,
Sorry.
no problem. If you go back to the main room, I think Coco can help you get.
How do I go? I go to the main room. How do I go back to the main room? Sorry.
In the bottom right-hand corner, there should be a button that says Leave Breakout Room. I might have
Oh,
to.
it's leave altogether. Okay, I tried that. Leave breakout.
Leave Breakout, yeah. Okay, so next, what we're going to do is learn how to change the ringtones on our phone. So again, similar sort of thing there. Once you know how to up it or change the volume, now it's time to make whatever you're playing sound nicer to you. So again, different phones are going to have different options for this one. Now, Samsung and Lenovo, I believe it's going to be under the setting sound, whereas Huawei will be under sound and vibration. Even though they're called slightly or something slightly different, they're going to have the same settings on there. So again, you want to go into the settings option and then go into either sound or sound and vibration. Now, once you're in there, you can click on the option for ringtone. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different options that you can pick and choose from. And I would probably say after the class, go through and pick and choose which one you want to use. I know the one that's on the screen is one called Orbit, but there's a whole bunch of other ones. So pick which one sounds nice to you. And then you can use that for your future ringtone. Now, another thing that you can actually do, and Elaine, this one will be useful for yourself there because you weren't able to go through and find all the sounds previously there, is again under settings and then sound and vibration or sounds. You can actually change the volume of the different settings in here too. So you can do it from the main screen with the volume rockers, but you can also do it under the sounds setting as well. So
Thank you.
were you able to find that, Elaine? Oh, you're on mute right now. Oh, you're on mute, Elaine.
I have an older model. I find all the icons on the top, but I do not have the sliding scale on the bottom. So actually, I find most of the stuff. And now you're talking about over the ringtone over the sun mode, sun, vibrate, and mute. That's all I have. I don't have all your fancy stuff. So that's okay. I'm okay.
No problem. We'll figure it out together at the end here. Okay.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't have a good picture for this one for when it came up there, but what I want to talk about on this slide and picture for a moment, imagine in your mind what it actually looks like, or just follow along on your phone because I can help go through it that way because my picture doesn't work on this one. But what we're going to do for the next setting is we're going to go and modify some of the settings for your notifications. So what notifications are little pop-ups on your phone when certain things happen. So a notification could be an indication of somebody calling you. Typically, a call is going to be what's called a very prominent notification where it pops up on your screen and really grabs your attention. There's other types of notifications that can be less prominent. For example, you could maybe get a notification when you get an email, or if you get a text message, or if, say, somebody sends you something on Facebook or WhatsApp or WeChat. Those types of notifications usually by default don't have big prominent banners or big prominent things that take up the entire screen. The nice thing about the notifications, though, is that you can actually change that so that it can be more or less prominent depending on what your preferences. You can also turn them off completely for different apps. So depending on whether or not you want notifications for a particular app or not, you can actually turn that on or off. So where this is really useful is for me, usually when somebody sends me an email, that's great. I'll check the email in my inbox, but I usually don't have like the notifications pop up on the middle of the screen when that actually happens. So I actually have notifications for email turned on or turned off. Where I'll keep them turned on though, however, is I will actually turn on notifications for like text messages. And then again, for my previous example, I'll have notifications for when somebody phones me, and I'll usually have those fairly prominently so that I can't ignore it. And I actually have to do something with it in order to be able to get it off my screen, whether it's answer it or decline the phone call there. So again, like I said, I don't have a good picture to show you on the screen here, but under the settings, under notifications, that's where you're going to be able to look and see the settings for that. And you can go through and kind of play around with that and make it whatever you want. It's actually a good idea to go into this one periodically as well, because when you install new apps, you also get new settings on there. So you want to make sure that you're going into this and just changing it so that it's comfortable for you. So any questions, before I actually go forward, any questions on that part? Because I know I didn't have a good picture, so I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable here.
It looks like, Brian, it looks like once you install a new app, it automatically puts the notification on, because I saw some of the apps that we learned from last term, like garbage days and so on.
Yeah.
It's on. So now I'll just turn them all off because I don't, that I need, but like Amazon apps. So I just turn that off because I don't need it. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's something that's really important. Is some apps it's nice to have the notifications for, but some apps you really don't care. And like I know for some of the shopping apps that are on my phone, I don't really care if there's like a new deal or a sale or something going on. I use the app really sporadically, so I'll typically turn off the notifications for that one. Whereas Victoria will typically turn on all the notifications for shopping, just because that's something that she really likes. So,
Ryan, Ryan.
what? How can I help, Dave?
Yeah, Ryan. The sleep mode on display, would that be the same as on my phone? Is just this do not disturb? Is that the same thing?
It's actually not. So that's a very good question, Dave. So do not disturb what it is. And hang on, I'll just go back to where you can actually see it. I think I had something that at least showed it. Maybe not.
It's my do not disturb under sounds and vibration.
Yeah. I think. I don't know if I have a picture for this that I can show you. Oh, maybe there it is. Okay. So do not disturb. So what do not disturb is essentially an option that you can turn on or off on your phone so that notifications and sounds will actually be turned off for however long you have that turned on for. So where do not disturb usually works, and what I use it for personally is I actually have a do not disturb automatically turned on at about 11 o'clock at night, and I have it automatically turn off at about 7 a.m. in the morning. And I do this so that while I'm sleeping, my phone's not going to be turning on, getting bright and sending me all these notifications there. And also at that time of night, I really don't care if like text messages pop up or anything else that kind of pops up as well. So do not disturb is actually a really useful feature to kind of have that peace of mind during times when you're not available to take a call. Another time you could use do not disturb is and I'm not sure how often you would do something like this, but maybe you're in a meeting or you're writing a test or something like that, and you really don't want to have your phone going off and bothering you in the middle of this. You can actually turn do not disturb on at that point, and it will silence the phone for that period of time again until you turn it back on.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense there?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, great question. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
So next, we're going to go into battery settings. So this one is going to be useful in terms of just understanding how much power your battery currently has, what apps are using a lot of power, and maybe even changing some of the settings so that you are giving your phone a little bit more life in certain circumstances. So to find this one, either it'll be under battery under settings or This one actually could be in a different location on someone or some of your phones called device care. So under settings, then there might be one called device care and then battery. So maybe figure out which one you have right now. So look at your settings and see if you can find the battery icon. And I'll just give everybody a second for this one.
Yes, mine is under device maintenance.
Device maintenance. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
could be the other location
Yeah.
for that one as well. Device care, device maintenance, or just generally general
Yes.
battery.
Yeah.
So in here, if you click on the little battery icon, what it's going to do, and again, try to follow along as best as possible because the picture I have on the screen there may not be exactly like what your phone has. This is the fun part about Android is all the phones are slightly different. So again, as I mentioned before, you're trying to get the general concepts as opposed to learning exactly what yours is like. So in there, the first part, and I know it isn't circled, but I'll talk about the different modes that you can set for your battery. So performance mode, power saving mode, or ultra power saving mode. And again, it might be called something a little bit different on your phone there. But what these are is settings that you can change your phone so that the battery lasts less or more time, but uses less or more power to do it. So typically performance mode is going to have the worst battery life. However, it's going to do the most things on your phone. So for example, your apps might be refreshed in the background. You might have the best resolution on your phone. The sound might be the best. The screen might be the brightest and the most vibrant under that one. Power saving mode and ultra power saving mode are going to be settings on your phone that just use less and less features. So for example, power saving mode might not check for updates as frequently as performance mode. Ultra power mode, power saving mode might not check for those things at all. So there's going to be different drawbacks to using some of the power saving ones versus using the performance mode. I would say typically keep your phone in performance mode because honestly, you're probably not going to be going so long that you need to have it in one of the other two settings there. Usually where power saving and ultra power saving mode works is if you are fairly low on battery already and you just want to make sure that it survives until you can get to a place where you can charge it. So that's typically where I would use power saving and ultra power saving mode, but almost always for any other time of day, I would just use performance mode. Usually for most people, you're pretty close to a charger at most times there. So that's probably going to work the best for you. And it's going to give you the best experience on your phone. Another one that you might have on your phone there is one called battery usage. So what battery usage is it's essentially a option that you can click on in order to see which programs on your phone are using the most battery life. So you can see in the picture there, when you click on battery usage, it's going to pop up with a little screen that will kind of give you a percentage of how much each of these apps is using out of your battery. So again, this isn't something that you probably are going to be looking at all that regularly. I only go into something like this very infrequently just because I find it kind of interesting there. But sometimes I like to know if, say, the programs that I'm using are really kind of drawing down the battery. Where you're typically going to see programs draw more battery than other programs is games. Ones that are really performance intensive, those ones are typically going to use your battery faster than, say, like text messaging or uh, like even browsing the internet doesn't actually use that much power, honestly. So again, this is more for just general knowledge of what's being used, but it doesn't necessarily change how you're going to use your phone at any particular time. Um, I'm trying to think of an example where this would be useful. Maybe if your battery was running fairly low and you were trying to figure out ways to keep your phone alive as long as possible, you could avoid using programs that maybe use more battery than other programs there. But that's maybe the only circumstance where I'd ever find this actually that useful. Another option that you're going to have in battery is the ability to show or hide the percentage next to the battery indicator on the top of your phone. So usually there's going to be a little battery that is displayed on the top of your phone, typically next to the clock there. You can actually change it so that the percentage is shown to the left of the battery indicator, inside the battery indicator, or not at all. And then you just have an icon with a little green bar that kind of gets progressively less as you use more and more of your battery there. I know for myself, I typically have the battery indicator with the percentage to the left of it. But again, personal preference, whatever works best for you. If you just like the little icon, great. If you want it to have the percentage next to it because it's easier to understand, then absolutely go forward and do that too. Any questions on the battery part?
I have a question, Ryan.
Yeah.
On my phone, it's different from what you have. I got power saving mode. And then underneath it said, select a mode below to extend your battery life up to 1 day, 4 hours. And then underneath there are a section. Like one is off, the middle one is mid, next one is max. Can you explain if I'm in mid right now, but if I do off, does it mean that no battery is going over and then it give me 10 hours?
Could you put your phone in front of the camera?
You
Just
see it?
in front of the camera. So I think it's to your left.
To my left.
Yeah, there we
In
go.
front of
And
the
if you hold it back
Yeah.
just a little bit, just so I can see. Oh, okay. So for yours there, I'd probably say, again, Elaine, are you typically ever that far from a charger?
Hmm?
Are you usually always pretty close to a charger?
Yes.
I'd say put it on max then, because max is going to give you the best experience using your phone there. And again, if you're always pretty close to a charger, then if worse comes to worse and your phone gets pretty drawn down, you can always plug it in. But most times, even at max, your phone is going to last to the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we are close to the charger because we can't go out.
Yeah, I mean that's really true.
Thank you.
I think right now everybody's got a charger next to
Yeah.
them.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions on battery, guys? Sounds like we are good to move forward. Okay, so next one that I want to cover off on is the lock screen password. So the lock screen password is a setting that you can have turned on so that when you turn your phone on, you are required to enter in a password to get access to it. Now, on Android phones, there can be a few different ways that you can enter this password. The password doesn't necessarily have to be an actual password that you type in. Your password could be the phone visualizing your face, seeing your face. So some of the Android phones have the ability to scan a person's face and use that to unlock the phone. Other versions of Android will have the ability to actually set a pattern. So you can actually create a custom pattern that you would have to enter in to unlock your phone. The more common types are where you would have to enter in a PIN number or a full password to access your phone. And depending on what kind of settings you want and ease of access to enter your phone, you can turn one of these options on. Now, to get to this, again, under the settings option on Samsung phones, you go to the option lock screen. On Huawei phones, you go to security and privacy. And on Lenovo phones, you would go to security and location. So hopefully you can find one that's either those options or one that's similar on there. What you're going to be looking at here, so I'm actually just going to pull it up on my own phone there just so I can walk through it. Da, 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 da. So I want to make sure that I'm following along with you guys as well on this particular one because this one's really important to understand. Okay, so on here, again, there's going to be a few different ways that you can change options on there. This Face ID photo is actually the one that Apple uses, so you won't see that on your Android phones. But Android has a similar sort of Face ID type of scanning feature. So now on your phone there, you can select these different options for how you can unlock your phone. Now, depending on the type of security that you want, a password is going to give you the most security. Now, a password is again where you're entering in a string of numbers and letters, maybe a word, maybe a phrase, whatever it is that you want there. But because it's going to be longer than any of the other options, that one's going to probably give you the best security. A PIN number typically is going to be either 4, 6, or 8 characters, usually 4 there. So typically just numbers. So that's going to give you good security, but less security than the password, because typically 4 numbers is easier to guess um, than a password that includes 26 letters, all the numbers, some special characters, and all the other stuff there. On the right-hand side, you can also select a pattern. So on your lock screen password options there, you can select a pattern as one of the ways that you can get in. Um, Finally, some Android phones will have a fingerprint reader and some will have the ability to scan your face. So you can actually turn those on as well. Now, the face and the fingerprint can actually usually be turned on simultaneously to having a PIN number or a password. So oftentimes what I will do is if I have a fingerprint reader, I'll set up my fingerprint and I'll also have a password in place there. Um, I I'll also set up Face ID or some sort of face recognition, but then have a password in place there. So one that makes it easy to get in, like where the phone will scan my face, and one that makes it hard to get in if the phone doesn't recognize me, so where I have to enter a long password there. So was everybody able to find this particular setting on their phone? Was there anybody that wasn't able to get to this particular one? Sounds good there. So before I move on from passwords there, I would say if you currently have a password that is really easy to guess, like 8888 or 1111 or 0000, I would actually suggest going in and changing that to say something that's a little bit harder to guess. Make sure that it's something that's easy for you to remember, but hard for other people to guess. One of the ones that I think is probably a really good one, if you're using the PIN number, use the same PIN number that you're using on your debit card or on your credit card. You're not sharing this information with anybody else, so it's still secure. But you know that the PIN number that you're using for your debit or credit card is good and something that only you know. Why not do the same for your phone where all your personal information is being stored as well? So just make sure that you're not using something too simple. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is one that's maybe a little bit more fun and not quite so serious as the password one before. The next one is going to be changing your wallpaper. So this one is good because you're going to be using your phone a lot. And when you go back to your home screen, this is going to be what's showing up on the background. So sometimes people want it to be a little bit different than the blank, like black background or white background that typically shows on it there. So this is again one of those settings that's going to be a little bit different depending on which version of Android that you're going to be using. So if you go to settings, one of the options that you may see is going to be home screen and wallpaper. Another one that you may see, I know on Android phones, you're going to see one called wallpaper and themes. Um, I think those are the only two that you're going to be using there. But anyways, if you go to the wallpaper option under your settings there, it's going to give you some different options to be able to put wallpapers, screensavers, icons on the back of your Android there. Now, depending on which kind of phone you have, some may require you to have an account to use that. I know on Samsung ones, if you go into the themes and wallpaper setting, it's actually going to ask you to sign in, and some of them even have a cost associated with them. I would probably say don't ever pay for wallpaper because it's really easy to find them online, and there's a lot of free ones out there. If you find one that's like really amazing and you really like it and it has a small cost to it, then sure, go ahead. But by and large, you can find pretty much every picture out there on the internet for free. Um, Now, this is one screen where you can actually go and change your wallpaper. Another option that you can do to change the wallpaper on the back of your phone, and unfortunately, I don't have a picture for this one, but if you go into your photos, so if you go into the photos that you've taken with your phone or that you've actually saved, you can click on the photos there and you can actually assign those photos as wallpaper on the back of your phone there. So if you happen to be out and about and you see a really pretty sunrise and you take a picture of that and you want that to be the background of your phone, you can actually make that the background of your phone. So again, just by going into your photos and clicking on one of the pictures that you have there, it'll give you the option to set as wallpaper. So does anybody have any questions on this part here? You guys have gotten very quiet. This is good. This either means that I'm teaching well or that nobody understands. All right, so now we've got a little mini quiz that we're going to go through here. So I'm going to ask you, this symbol here on the screen, what does this symbol mean?
Vibrate.
Yeah, Lily. Oh, vibrate. Yes, sorry. I heard wrong. I thought you said Ryan, but yes, you're right. This is the vibrate option. Now, again, it might look like this, or it might look like a little speaker with a little squiggly line on the side there. So depending on which phone you have there, that's going to be the vibrate icon, or it's going to be slightly different and look like the speaker there. How about this one?
Mute.
Yeah, you got it, Dave. So this one is mute. So if you see this icon, it means that your phone will not make any sounds for that particular type of setting there. So it won't even vibrate. So depending on what you want, it can either be muted or it can be set to vibrate or it can be turned, or the volume can be turned on. So next question, can you disable notifications of an app, and where would you go to find this? Oh, Elaine, I see your mouth moving, but I don't hear you. I think you're on mute again.
Under notification, and yes, you can disable any app.
Absolutely. So under your settings, under notification, you can go in there and you can turn on and off notifications, and you can do that for individual apps as well. So again, like I was saying earlier, make sure to go in this after the class just to play around with it and review the ones you think that you want to have on or off. Go into this periodically, because I also find that sometimes you'll turn off notifications and then you forget that you turned it off, and then you'll wonder why nothing ever pops up on your phone. And that's probably the reason why. So that is everything for